Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Baby Steps series. In this video, I will be answering some more questions that people submitted in my Q&A form on my website. If you would like to ask me any questions that I haven't covered so far, feel free to visit my website down below and ask away. So I actually got two questions that were pretty similar in nature, so I'm going to be lumping them both together and covering them both in this video. So the first question asked, do you find it's hard when you see friends or family become pregnant, and should or when they approach telling you, should they do it in a specific way? If yes, how do you recommend them sharing this news with you? As well, what should they avoid saying or using while having the conversation? And the other question was, what is the best way to go about telling someone struggling with infertility that you yourself are pregnant? Again, like super good questions, and just like my last video, I'll probably be approaching this from my personal viewpoint and how I would feel about it, and also a general response. And this topic is a really tricky one, and it's something that I'm still struggling with to a degree. When we first started going through this infertility process, finding out that people were pregnant didn't really affect me as much. I was still super excited for them and super happy for them, and it didn't really affect me in that way because in my head I was like, it's gonna happen for me soon. Like, it should happen for me soon. I'm not worried about it. So at that time, everything was fine. It didn't really matter how people told me about it. Over time, it's kind of started getting to me more and more the longer that we've been trying to conceive and haven't had success. And this has been especially hard when I've known people that have gotten pregnant, had their baby, and have gone on to get pregnant with their second child all in the time that we've been trying to conceive our first. But ultimately, this is just a really individual thing, and you have to kind of approach each situation differently depending on who it is that you're talking to. And like I said in my last video as well, this is probably something that I would bring up in that first conversation if someone confides in you that they're experiencing infertility. Obviously, don't have it be like the first thing that you blast them with, but once you're talking about it a bit, I probably approach it then. If you're thinking about having kids soon, or it might be a possibility that you'll be pregnant soon, I don't think it hurts to ask them, if you are presented with that situation, how do they prefer that they tell you, and how involved do they want to be, or how much do they want to know about it? Again, it's putting the ball in their court, it's putting it all out in the open, and it gives you a really clear picture of what would work for them. That's not to say this is always the best route either, because like me, people's feelings about it could change over time. For me, if someone had asked me that question in the beginning, I would have been like, oh yeah, just tell me the normal way you tell me, just be happy, I don't know, I wouldn't have cared. But down the line that would have been different for me, and I might have reacted differently. But we can't always plan for how we might feel in a future moment. But worst case, you've asked the question, and at least you have a better idea of how to approach it if the situation does occur. Ultimately, I think for most people struggling with infertility, it's going to be painful for us regardless, hearing the news that you or someone else that we might not even be close to is pregnant. But most of us also still don't want to be left out of that situation either, if that makes sense. For example, for a baby shower, I'd be more hurt if I wasn't invited to a friend's baby shower because they were trying to spare my feelings, rather than them inviting me or giving me a heads up being like, hey, just so you know, I'll be inviting you to my baby shower soon, and if you're not able to come, or if you're not comfortable with coming, then I completely understand. It's the whole putting the ball in their court, so that way we know we're included, we know that we're wanted there, and we also know that our friend or family member is understanding of our situation and is empathetic to what we're going through, and that they won't be hurt or upset or offended if we're not able to attend. I guess the important thing is if it's a close friend or family member that you're gonna tell them that you're pregnant eventually, they're gonna find out eventually, whether you tell them directly, if they find out through someone else, or if they find out via social media. If there's someone that's close to you, it's worlds better to still tell them directly. I think it would hurt a lot more if we found out through the grapevine or through a social media post that you're pregnant. I guess honestly, for me, the best way someone could tell me is hey, I really wanted to share something with you, and I know it's going to be hard for you to hear, but I am pregnant, I'm due, blah blah blah, and then basically say I just wanted you to be in the know, I wanted you to be included, I wanted to share this with you, and then just ask them how involved or how much they'd want to know about it moving forward. For me, it's been hard for me to, as much as I want to still hear all the updates about friends or family members' pregnancies, I want to know everything because I love that kind of stuff. I love reading pregnancy forums and all of that stuff. At the same time, it becomes too hard to hear all the time, because then it's a constant reminder of what you're missing out on. Especially now that I've had a failed IVF and now that I've had a loss, I'm constantly thinking about where I would be in my pregnancy right now. And it's just like a constant reminder that I'm not experiencing that same thing. It's a tough situation to navigate for sure. So asking them how much they want to know moving forward is important, because then they can decide what they're comfortable with. And another scenario, which I know a lot of people do as a fun pregnancy announcement, is announce a pregnancy at some unrelated party or event. So if that's your plan, and if you're going to invite someone that you know is going through infertility, the kindest thing to do would be to message them privately or give them a call ahead of time at the before the event, letting them know what your plans are and giving them a heads up, because that way they aren't blindsided at the party. Because we never really want to be put in a situation where someone else is sharing their happy news that we weren't necessarily prepared for or expecting, and then making us unable to hide our personal feelings about it. And always remember, it's not that we're not happy for you. In any other circumstances, we would be elated for you, jumping for joy, all of that. We're just sad for ourselves, and sometimes that just comes out stronger than the happy feelings we're feeling for you, and it's an unfortunate thing. And we absolutely don't want to ruin your happy day. So at the very least, if they know that that's what's going to happen at this party, then they can either decide not to go, or if you give them a heads up, like, okay, we're having this party and around this time, like after this part of the event, this is when we're going to announce it. At least giving them context and letting them be emotionally prepared for it. They can either choose not to attend, or they can choose to quietly step out during that portion of the event. Or if they choose to stay for the whole event, they're at least more mentally prepared, because being blindsided by something like that is not fun. And I kind of make it sound like you need to revolve your life around the people in your lives that are going through infertility, and that's not true. But if you really care about these people, then these are the things that you can do to help them out. If you still want them to be involved in your life and in these special moments, then that's the best way that you can do it, with their mental health in mind. You never want to be in a situation where you are knowingly hurting someone that you care about, and by telling someone going through infertility that you're pregnant, like you just know that they're hurting, and that's hard. But it's life. People are gonna get pregnant and have kids, and all of us in the community, I'm sure, are aware of that. We see it all the time. And if anyone else going through infertility has a different opinion about this, then let me know. But I think most of us would still want to be included rather than left out. Or one thing to definitely not do is avoid telling someone for a really, really, really long time, and then the next time they see you, you have a huge baby bump. Probably the worst way to go about it. So I think best thing to do is just tell them the way you normally would. Just don't be upset, or don't be personally offended if their initial reaction is not like elated happiness, jumping for joy. It's usually there inside of us somewhere. It's just battling with all these other emotions in our heart and our mind. So I'm not sure if that answer helped or made it more difficult for you, and I'm sorry if it did make it more difficult for you. But whoever asks these questions, if you are pregnant and you're worried about telling me, please don't worry about telling me. I will be okay and I will be happy for you, I promise. And if you have any other questions regarding that, or any other specific scenarios, feel free to leave a question on my website forum. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.